All right, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be doing something a little bit different. We're gonna be replacing my factory head unit in my 2019 Toyota Tacoma. We're going to be replacing it with this Dasaita G13. This is a high-end aftermarket stereo. It's about 11.6 inches diagonally, so it's pretty dang big. Pretty excited to get it in. I'm gonna be walking through the installation process with you guys step by step. Toward the end of the video, I'm gonna be doing a full review. We're gonna go over some features, what I think about the product for daily use. We're gonna go over what works great, what to look out for. So let's dive right in. Now that we have everything unboxed, going through to see what we have here. Looks like we've got the harness. Everything comes with this unit in the box for install for the truck. This is specifically for the Toyota Tacoma. So pretty detailed instructions. We've got wiring diagrams, explains everything, where each one of these wires go. It is plug and play, so it shouldn't be too difficult to install. They have nice installation steps going down. And again, we've got full wiring diagrams. So what I'm gonna do first, guys, is I'm gonna pop this off, get this unit out, and we're gonna start plugging things. To take this factory head unit off, we're basically gonna be pulling up to undo these red clips. There's a bunch of clips on the back side of here. We're gonna start here. A heck of a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. So all these little red clips we're going to be taking out and using on the new unit. We're going to need to pop these clips out and get these vents. We're going to be undoing all these 10mm bolts to get the old unit out, and then we're going to be able to access all those wires to get those unplugged for the new harness. And guys, before we start messing with electronics and getting that head unit out, we definitely want to remove the negative. That's a 10mm. Make sure there's no power to the unit. Super important. And so now that we have those 4 bolts out, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the old factory head unit out gently. What we are going to do is we are going to unplug all of these wires, and then we got to prepare our harness for the other unit. So all these have some little clips. If you have trouble with the clips, you could stick a little flathead in there. Seem to be coming out pretty good. Here is a side-by-side. This is the old factory unit. This is the one we're replacing it with. So you can see this is a big old screen compared to that one. And one thing I really like is they now have changed on this newer version. These are all black, so it's gonna match a truck a lot better. These used to be chrome and real ugly looking. So they look super clean. It's gonna look great in there. Now we're gonna be undoing these vents. We're gonna put the vents on the new one. So to remove these vents, there is 1, 2, 3 clips that we need to undo. So you can take a flathead or anything to undo these clips. Okay, very easy. So now we're going to be installing these vents in the new head unit. And that's pretty easy, straightforward. You do want to make sure that these vents, this thing kind of sits in there. You want to make sure that it's in there correctly before you press it into the tabs. There we go. The next step, we're going to be removing all of these red little clips. We got to take all these out. We're going to be installing them on the new unit. in the same locations. So these little clips are a little bit tricky to get off. They're easy to put on. The trick, I think, without breaking these things, they're a little fragile, so you don't want to break these. I'm using a tiny little flathead and a little Allen key. And basically what you're wanting to do is you want to go underneath these little red tabs and spread them apart. And it just flew off, so you can see this part here. So you need to spread this apart to pop it off. Now when we're installing it on the new unit, very easy. You just push down and it clicks right in. Again, be very gentle with these. You do not want to break these. We want it to be very secure. All right, did it without breaking them. Not too bad. Just take your time. All right. I know this probably looks pretty intimidating, all these wires, but it's really not too bad when you look at their wiring diagram. They're plug and play, so you gotta remember, it's not rocket science. So it looks like there's 2 power cable harnesses in here. According to the directions, we need this harness, not this one. This is an older unit. So we need this. This is not the right one. We need, because we have a 2019, this is the same unit I have, so we need CB047-1. So this is the correct power harness we need to hook up. This one we're going to put to the side because we don't need that one. So in this package, it looks like we have the 4G antenna we're going to be hooking up that it came with. We've got the GPS. Got USB cables. So what we're going to be doing is setting up this harness just as the instructions here. Pretty dang easy, it looks like. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully everything plugs right in. So guys, before we get the head unit in here, I am going to be running the mic. So the mic is going to be ran from underneath here and up here. We're going to undo this 10mm screw, pop this off, and then we're going to mount the mic up here. It would be nice if I could figure out how to hook up the mic to the factory mic. So I am going to look into that. For now, I'm going to go ahead and run the mic here. And if I figure this out later, I'll make a video on it. So guys, what I did here was I took a little, like you could use wire or anything that's a little bit flexible. So I took this off, this cover, and then I shoved this down here. And what we're going to do is we are going to electrical tape this connection and then pull this through. And then we're going to run that wire up and through the back side of here. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so guys, now that we have our electrical tape, we're going to go ahead and tape this here. I'm going to pull this wire through. You don't have to go crazy with it. There we go. All right, guys, so we got this all wired up. Pretty simple, took me about 5 minutes. Popping this on and off, super easy, just that 10mm pops right off. So now what we're going to do is we are going to clean that with an alcohol wipe just to make sure we get a good adhesion. So I'm gonna put it right up in that corner so you can just bear, as you're driving, you're not really gonna see it. It's gonna be high tucked up. And guys, to get the wire to the stereo here, all I did was I shoved this up here, and you can actually kind of see, if you look down in there, you'll see some light. So pretty easy to pull this up and through. There we go. Now that I have the correct wiring harness, I'm back here. So these are the wires coming from the vehicle. So these need to be plugged into the wiring harness, and this harness is going to be plugged into the new unit. One trick that I did find is, I know a lot of these look similar, but they're all different. Okay guys, so we got the wiring harness from Dasaita plugged in here. It was pretty easy and straightforward. So guys, you can't mess this up plugging these in. There are just gonna be a few that we're not gonna be using with the wiring harness, but they all fit with each other just perfect, so you can't mess them up. All right, so now that we have the wiring harness plugged in to the OEM cables, we're gonna go ahead and install all these cables supplied. If you look at this diagram, pretty easy to see what's going on. They got a nice picture diagram. So we're going to go ahead and match up all these parts. Obviously I can see this is going to be one, so this is going to be the GPS antenna. And then you're also gonna see where each one of these go. So we're going to go one by one and plug all these in. So this is the GPS antenna first. And next we've got the SIM card slot. One thing, it is just a little bit hard to see these blue lines exactly where they go, but if you follow them just right, maybe if these blue lines could be red lines, that would probably help out visually. So we're going to be hooking up that SIM card slot, and you can see it's hooked up to this second one here, right there. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in. I'm not going to use a SIM card. I'm going to be connecting to my hotspot on my phone. I think you can get a SIM card and have service on this, so it's own kind of phone unit, so you don't have to use your phone as a hotspot. So we're just gonna go ahead and plug that in. Maybe I'll do that in the future, not sure. And the 4G antenna goes right here. Once we get this in the truck, we're going to be installing these in a certain location. We'll get to that later. And the audio output cables go here. Guys, it's very simple. And this is going to be for the microphone that we ran. I'm going to plug that in. And we've got a little antenna for the Wi-Fi. And we have the auxiliary in. This is USB 1 cord. Goes here. Got another USB cord. This one has 2 hooked up to it. USB 2 goes here. These we're going to be running somewhere accessible from inside the cab so that I can hook up my phone, so I can charge it and it hooks up to the unit. You can run it Bluetooth as well. Alrighty guys, so I know it looks like a complete mess. I think there's a method to the madness though. We're gonna go ahead and plug everything in as the instructions state here, and we are going to give it a test. We're gonna connect the negative cable on the battery back up so we have power. We're gonna go through and test everything. It says right here after installation, so we're gonna go through and do this little checklist, make sure we're all good and everything's plugged in correctly. All right guys, you still with me? I know it looks crazy. It's not so bad, guys. Let's see, we're gonna go our antenna. We're gonna plug this in there. All right, guys, we just got the power cable from the harness plugged in. And we've got our microphone. Just remember, guys, all these cables are marked. So we got microphone, we're gonna plug the mic in. So there's that big wired mess back there. We're gonna be organizing this, probably zip tie this, but first we gotta test it, make sure everything's good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and connect that negative back up, and then we're gonna try this, go through the testing procedure to make sure everything works. All right guys, so we just got the battery hooked up here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in accessory mode. All right. Well, at least we got power. Something's working. And now it says to, so we tested the speakers, test steering wheel controls. Perfect. Steering wheel controls work. So now we're gonna do number 3, check radio stations. Man, I love the screen, it's nice and big. There we go. All right, so the radio works. Test button illuminations. Turn on car lights. Okay, I can see that little button there. I can see the light turned on, good to go. Turn the lights off. All right, guys, so I was just looking at these notes here in the directions. So my reverse camera was not working. That was the last thing to check off on the list to make sure everything is properly installed. So I can see this little caution sign. Probably gonna be hard to see on camera, but there's a couple wires. They're basically asking you to switch these two wires from C1 to C2. So they're all labeled. I'm gonna go through those wires, check that. I'm gonna switch those two wires, and then we're gonna give it another go and see if it works. All right, guys, so you can see this is labeled C. This is C2. It was plugged into C1, this purple wire. We unplugged it from there. We're gonna plug it into C2. So this is their troubleshooting. And so, guys, we've got the antennas and that GPS. Basically, I'm taking the double-sided tape off and I'm mounting it on top of the inside here. Seems like a nice little spot for it. All right, guys, so now we're going to very carefully put all these wires back in here. All right, looking good. Man, very clean. I love the colors too. Matches the rest of the truck. Much better than chrome they used to have. Guys, so I spent about a week with this head unit. Seemed to have figured it out. It took me a few days. At first I didn't like it at all, and then I really started to like it after I learned all the features and how to use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the truck on now. So we got the head unit starting here, and right now it's just kind of like an Android system, I guess. Within all these apps. It's like an iPad. I'm not really using this for this application. When I turn the vehicle on, I just go to CarPlay and then it'll automatically sync up. So I got to hit a couple buttons to get to the CarPlay. Unfortunately, it is not a wired connection for CarPlay. It's only wireless for Apple. For Android, it is going to be wired and wireless. The only advantage to wired, in my opinion, is it seems to be a little bit faster, and I also like the music quality. It seems to be just a tad better, but I haven't noticed anything on the wireless connection. It sounds great. So yeah, this is what I use. I use the CarPlay majority of the time. This is pretty sweet. I mean, the screen is really big, so it's going to be nice having Onyx on here. Overall, guys, I really like the unit. Some of the features that it does have, there is 4 different ways to hook up your phone depending on what you're using. Again, I'm using the CarPlay because I've got the iPhone. You can use the Android, which is wired and wireless, and then you can do screen mirroring, you can do TV projection, and then it does have a SIM card in here which you can hook up. I'm not using my SIM card. What I'm doing is I'm using my hotspot on my phone to be able to hook up if I want to watch, say, Netflix or YouTube. And it does have DTS audio, so if we go back to here, scroll down, we're going to go to the apps. We'll go to amplifier. So this DTS feature, I went in here and adjusted all my settings. I did a custom setting here. If you don't know how to do this, you can chat GPT it. It really improved the sound quality of the vehicle, to be honest with you. I don't think the old OEM head unit has the ability to push out extra power to the speakers. So messing with this, I really got everything dialed in how I like, and the sound quality in this vehicle is night and day in my opinion. Sounds amazing. So that's a nice feature they got. They do have that gyro. If you're into using this, I don't see myself ever using this for off-roading or four-wheeling, because you kind of know if you're going to be flipping over or not. So yeah, I probably won't be using this, but it's a cool feature if you want to use it. And it does have HDMI support that I have running down the vehicle, down by my legs there. If you do want to hook up some video games or a console, something like that, you could play some games on here, like an Xbox. And this screen is, I really like the size of the screen. It's 11.6 inches diagonally, so it is a huge improvement over the stock one. So really digging that. The brightness seems to be pretty good as well. You can come down and adjust the brightness. If I turn the headlights on, it does kind of like an auto dim for night, which has been helpful. I don't feel like it's too glary at night for me. You can adjust the brightness if you need. But yeah, again, I'll just come into my apps here. Let's say we want to watch some Netflix. Got my hotspot all turned up. The screen itself, the sensitivity seems pretty dang good. I'm pretty impressed with it. It's definitely not like an iPad, like lightning fast the second you click on something. There's just a tiny delay you can see when I put my finger down. Just a tiny bit, but not much. It's nice. I really like it a lot. So here's Netflix, guys. Quality looks amazing. One thing I do want to have is the anti-glare. I'll probably get some sort of coating over there so I don't see all this glare, because that is one thing that is bothering the heck out of me. So now if we go back to the apps, so you want to go to YouTube. So here's all my videos. Give it a try. The hotspot, it's faster than what I thought it would be. Yeah, it's nice. It sounds like a surround sound in here with this thing, but yeah, it looks amazing. So if you want to get out of an application, all you got to do is swipe your finger down, and then this will take you in. It's kind of like, you know, what like the iPhone would be when you have applications open and you can actually close them out. So that's pretty cool. Go back to home. There's so many features in here that you can change, even with the car. I mean, there's so many different things, you know. From what I'm using it for music, obviously Onyx Off-Road. I haven't quite messed around with every single application in here just yet, because I am an iPhone user, not an Android user. So, you know, I see myself using CarPlay more than anything. Again, to get into CarPlay, and this is, you know, what I use most of the time here. So yeah, overall, I really like the product. Some of the things that I don't like is obviously the CarPlay. So I wish that would automatically connect with the OEM factory unit. It was wired, so I just plug it in and automatically connect. With this one, I do have to go through once it turns on, and I got to hit a button. Not a big deal, but it would be nice if it auto connected. Maybe I can do that in a software update someday. And then this knob, it is very nice to have a volume knob. I guess the older units didn't have the volume knob. It's very accessible. It's a nice spot. I just don't like, it just seems to be a little bit on the cheap side compared to the OEM volume knob. So that is something that I wish was just a little bit more quality on that, because the rest of the unit seems pretty dang good in terms of quality. Again, the touchscreen has been great. Overall, really liking this thing. One thing I do want to try doing with this unit, I'm installing the Wolf box here soon, so I'm going to see if I can hook up the front camera somehow so I can have the camera pop on this unit and this unit, or just this unit, because this is a big screen and I would prefer to have my front camera here when I need it. So we're probably going to be looking into doing that. The installation probably took me about an hour and 15 minutes. It was pretty quick installation. It went a lot smoother than I imagined. All the wiring diagrams they provide makes it super easy. So yeah, overall guys, I would highly recommend this product. I will link it in the description below if you guys are interested. All right, that's it for today's video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Seriously, it means a ton. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Got thoughts, questions, or just want to say hey, drop a comment below. I read every one of them. As always, I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next week's video.